Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about this document here called the Research Proposal Template. So if you're taking the Research Scholar program with me as your instructor, chances are you will be come across this document sometime in the program. So in this video, I want to talk it through on a high level how to finish this document. First things first is the research question. It does not have to be long. We're talking about 20 words on average. It needs to imply the data set, the AI model, and specifically, what is the goal? For example, can image-based AI models be used and implemented to create a trading algorithm or portfolio such that it beats the market performance? This is a fair question because it implies image data, implies some sort of AI model, and then there's a goal. Done. That would be a very clear question. Second, research methods. Research methods need to provide a little bit more detail. It needs to lay out what the goal is that you're doing for this model that you're building. And then it will be even better if you can list a particular name of the model. Last but not least, you want to give a bit more detail of how that's going to achieve the question, how that's going to answer the question, right? And then in the end, maybe you say, hey, the research aims to explore certain things. Number three is the academic context. Academic context, of course, depending on the nature of your literature and the nature of your research. So it is definitely domain specific. Since this particular example in front of us, it's about financial market, then of course the academic context is talking about the financial market. So you want to start with something that's very broad. The field of financial market analysis has been transformed by the advent of sophisticated machine learning techniques, particularly those involving image analysis and pattern recognition, things like that. It is really talking about traditionally what people have been doing, and then potentially what are some of the results. So in other words, you can think of this part as another way of saying literature review, right? Traditionally, investors have relied on numerical data to predict stock returns using time-tested indicators like momentum and price reversal patterns, things like that. And then somewhere during the academic context, you want to pivot. You want to pivot into the domain that you are about to do, that you are about to do your research on, right? However, with the rise of machine learning, the potential to harness more nuanced, complex patterns from raw data sources has become a reality. That makes this paragraph interesting. And of course, now that you get the idea of academic context, typically we require maybe 3 to 4 different paragraphs. This is a little bit longer than what we used to require students, but you can kind of take this as an example to see this is the kind of content that we require for academic context. Next question is about how your research fits. So what this question is really asking for is essentially 200 words of an explanation of what is it that you do that can help fit into number three that you just talked about. So number three says this is the financial data, this is the financial analysis, and you said you want to pivot. You don't want to just use time series data. You want to use nuanced data, complex patterns, right? From even raw data resources, right? Not just distilled data, not just processed data, but from raw data. Okay. So next question is, how does that work, right? So the answer to this question that we're looking for is essentially an explanation of how do you think that might work. So it goes something like this. Based on the above, prior research in the literature did not thoroughly investigate the field using sophisticated classification algorithm in neural networks. Models such as vision transformers have been considered novel and state-of-the-art models due to recent performances in the literature in the field of generative AI. But applications of such algorithm in understanding and potentially predicting a stock chart is lacking tension. So this really drives that motivation home, right? It explains, hey, look, we got a huge domain here from academic context that's written now in number three using about 400 words. The next question, use it as an anchor and use whatever it is that you are doing, and to make the connection that what you're doing is here to solve the problem, right? Because vision transformer, it's a new model that look at complex patterns. That's not just time series data. As a matter of fact, it's image data. So that will be what I consider a good explanation of how this research fits this academic context. So number 3 and number 4, they kind of go in sequential order. Next is a timeline. In understanding timeline, it really kind of depends on every student's own goal. But for the sake of simplicity, here we list out the weekly goal. It starts with model selection and baseline implementation. Next thing is model refinement and benchmarking. Third is advanced modeling and rigorous evaluation. And then all the way up to here, I want to take a pause. These 3 weekly goals are really set for 3 sessions. They do not have to go in each and every particular week. So this, I may as well just call it sessions. And with that being said, this can really be breaking down to 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. There isn't really a particular preference here. It kind of depending on your own personal schedule. And then in the end, the instructor will review the result with you and interpret it together and try to come up with results. And that results can then go into the drafting of your paper. So that is how the timeline works. And typically we default it as a weekly basis, but of course, in reality, it can be 1.5 weeks, 1.7 weeks, it depends. The next section is publication goals. The publication goals also depending on the nature of the research, as well as where the student considers their career to be heading to. Typically, we're talking about high school journals. Sometimes people might be aiming for higher level journal, undergrad, right? Potentially even graduate student journal, no problem there. It's whatever that you find to be a good fit of your own research. In the end, we also have a safe space called roadblocks and concerns that is really an area for students to raise the things that they want to learn or they feel like they haven't learned, or maybe there's some sort of constraint to forbid them from learning. We're here to help. We want to address these issues and we want to show students how these can be taken care of. So feel free to share your own thoughts. We take this seriously. And with that being said, that is it for walkthrough of research proposal. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.